One of the most shocking and distressing experiences of a person's life is the discovery that somebody that they cared so much about, thought that they knew so well, was a narcissist. And the heartbreak is because when you really come to understand the true nature of that person, it's usually abrupt and sudden. It can be from a discard. It can be the discovery of something like infidelity at a level that's unfathomable. And the worst part is that when you really come to recognize the truth of this person, even in little part, you will see a completely different individual, someone that you don't even recognize. And the future that you are living into, it just falls apart. And all the time invested means absolutely nothing to this person. Zero, zilch. It doesn't matter if it's a family member, doesn't matter if it's your own brother, doesn't matter if it's a friend, a coworker, but it's particularly insidious in romantic relationships because of how much you've invested, because of the demands of these people. And that during this whole time, you thought you were trying to be good enough. You were trying to fix the relationship. You were investing. You took on all that responsibility. And many of you invested so heavily into the future for this person that they needed a little help, that they needed someone to believe in them. They could have been a damsel in distress. They could have been a man that seemed to have so much potential and just needed somebody to believe, somebody that had skills, somebody that had charisma, somebody that had some vision for life. And you saw yourself being able to contribute. You saw an opportunity to fill in the gaps, and you believed in them just the way that they thought. And it's just incredible how slowly but surely that amazing relationship became the worst nightmare of your life. And you'll wake up someday and you'll just be like, where am I? What is going on and how did we get here? Because it's so incremental. It starts off with a little negation. It starts off with just somebody that seems to be a little moody. Starts off where that amazing personality and sarcasm is starting to sting a little bit. And this person is starting to project a little bit of unhappiness, you see. And as your mental health starts to decline, that might even be the topic of the discussion, that you're starting to feel a little depressed and anxious. And they're noticing that. And you see, you might actually start to think it's you, that your changes psychologically may start to seem to be part of the problem in the relationship, that you're just not your normal self, that your enthusiasm is going away because every little thing that you've tried to do, you've incrementally reduced yourself. I want you to realize that the slippery slope in that relationship was because you would use your creativity and your love in servitude of the relationship, that you would think about some positive thing that you could do and then you would do it. And if they didn't directly tell you it wasn't good enough, they just didn't really acknowledge it, that you're making the effort to make a difference, but you're starting to feel a little bit invisible. And at some point, there's a point of giving up that you may not have noticed. You see, many people think that they lost themselves, but they were trying to adapt, that you were saying, okay, well, this didn't work, but maybe this. And so as you kept going to the drawing board to try to make this work out, trying to come up with ideas, there's a point in time where you just can't anymore. And all those arguments that you couldn't understand, all that confusion that they brought to your life, where you're just trying to have a conversation and they just seem to not understand you, and somehow it's you, somehow it's your trust issue, somehow you're always to blame. And you keep trying to overcome this sensation of not quite being enough for them. And then there you are, confused, ruminating, broken, abandoned. And then the worst of the worst comes. Smear campaigns where this person that you cared so much for, that you've sacrificed so much for, that you gave everything to, is now lying, is now painting you in some different light. And then you feel ashamed because you endorsed this person, you brought him around, that even when you were struggling, you didn't want other people to see that per se. And so these yo-yos that you were on, where you thought maybe you're going to leave and then they bring you back in and everything seems fine, that's what other people saw. And so people saw, you and them and thought everything was perfect, but everything wasn't really perfect for you. And now it's so difficult to explain to anybody else what this experience is like, because they can't see what you see, because they see the mask. They see this person that fools everybody, and so that is a very unique experience that you wouldn't wish upon anyone. And it's a very, very unique thing to overcome or deal with. Because for many people, the experience of dealing with a narcissist can be totally destructive of your life. Because you see, as they trigger you and trigger you and trigger you, you become more entrenched and fixated upon fixing this relationship. You used to be on cloud nine at the beginning, and now what is it that you're focused on is just trying to make it, just trying to hold it together, just trying to fix it, just trying to heal. And it just doesn't work. But you see, here this person is smearing you now, throwing it in your face, manipulation, Darvo, taking no responsibility. In fact, needing to be the victim, needing to blame you, needing to take no accountability, and needs to punish you for their own affliction. And so that is something that is the equivalent of hell on earth. Hell on earth. Now, there's a lot of people out there that want you to believe that you're an empath, that you're a deer in the headlights, that you're powerless to these people, that you're just a weak empath that's going to be emotionally susceptible, and you need to watch out, you need to know the red flags. No, none of that is true. The truth is, as horrible as this experience has been, and as responsible as they are for bringing this experience to the forefront of your life, the one thing that I will tell you about them is they nearly exclusively prey upon your pre-existing triggers. That your fear of being not enough, your fear of abandonment, the confusion that gets triggered, paralysis, smallness, all of these things are what they leverage in a cause and effect mentality, where they learn and study people, and the emotions that they seem to display, their disappointment, their disapproval, their victimhood, all emulations, simulations, behaviors that simply do not have the underlying emotion that you would expect. And everything that you loved about the person that you were trying to restore, see, you wanted to believe they were this good person and then try to understand the bad behavior. But that's not really what it is. That at no point in time did you ever really have a handle on this person, because this person only presents as an approximation, as some person that is struggling just to belong, to avoid abandonment, just to fit in. They calculate who they are, that their opinions, their beliefs, these things are arbitrary. They just negate you. They don't feel or have normal experiences or even form objective assessments of reality. That they dictate to themselves what's true and what's real, only in servitude of their own needs. They get to believe whatever they want to believe, because that's the only way they know how to exist. And so you were with a phantom, a chameleon. And whatever it is that you think you loved wasn't really there. Because if you really looked and you were honest with yourself, that person is not worthy of love or lovable. And the only thing that you loved was the way that they made you feel and your future fantasies with them. Because if you took an authentic look at the person, there's nothing there.